back. I had to make sure I wasn't dreaming when he said what he said. So, but I'm
here, of course, joined with Nick Bodkins of the Bodkins Show. Nick. What is up, everybody, ladies and gentlemen? We are here once again on a Monday night of the best Monday night show around. This is Buffoon and Bodkins. My name is Tanner. I am the Sports Buffoons, and next to me here is Nick Bodkins of the Bodkins Show. Nick, welcome in.
Good evening, everybody. Man, what a day. It is time for that the Buffoon and Bodkins Show. I am ready. We're rapid. We got lots of great guests. I'm excited. So, Tanner, let's go ahead and jump right into it, brother.
Let's do it. Bring it on in, guys. We'll bring in Jim Biringer once again, a friend of the show here of the Last Word at Hockey podcast. Jim, welcome in.
What's going on, boys? Good to be here on a Monday night, a busy Monday night in the National Hockey League. Big trade just goes down between Ontario rivals. Oh, free agency, I can smell it. It's right around the corner.
It's like it just started up for you all of a sudden. Not even Wednesday yet. You were talking about Wednesday being the chaos day, free agency. Now we got trades happening, and we're just getting post-draft here, man.
I know, it's crazy. You just don't know when this stuff's going to come out. But I will say the trade that went down tonight, Matt Murray to the Toronto Maple Leafs, along with the 2023 third-round pick and a 2024 second round for future considerations, was in the works since the weekend at the draft. Senators have been trying to unload Murray. Toronto looking at him. They need a starting goaltender, not trying to be able to can't probably re-sign Jack Campbell now because, you know, they're taking on 75% of Matt Murray's salary. So they let a guy that, you know, has done well for them, and he's going to go to free agency, and they're going to rely on Murray to bring them a Stanley Cup, and let's see what happens. But, yeah, very interesting things going on around the NHL post-draft.
That's crazy.
Jim, I just saw that the Avalanche got rid of their goalie. Like, they're not re-signing him or traded him. What's going on there? Because, I mean, they just won the Stanley Cup, and now they're getting rid of, you know, I know he's no Patrick Waugh, but, I mean, to get rid of your guy who helped you get to the Stanley Cup, what's happening there?
Yeah, I think Colorado was looking to go in a different direction. I think salary cap. See, here's the thing about, unlike like other sports, like the salary cap is a big thing in the National Hockey League, especially like recently with COVID and everything going on, cap crunch. And they just couldn't feel that, you know, Darcy Kemper's like, look, I just want a Stanley Cup. I want to be paid X amount, probably more than what the Avalanche were willing to give him. And he's going to test free agency, and he's probably either going to go to Edmonton or Washington. It's either going to be one of those teams because Jack Campbell, the Maple Leafs former goaltender, is either going to one of those two places because they need goaltending because, well, Washington doesn't have any goaltending because they didn't qualify Ilya Samsonov, who was a restricted free agent, and they traded their other goalie to New Jersey. So, yeah, they need a goalie. But as far as Kemper goes, yeah, I think, you know, with bringing in Georgiev, they can get him. They have him under control for 3 years at a reasonable cap hit, $3.4 million. They have Francouz there, so that's a nice tandem. Georgiev played well for the Rangers. He's a better goalie than Kemper is. Again, as I said when I was on here, when we talked about the Stanley Cup final, go back to watch a lot of these playoff games and look how much Colorado protected Kemper. You know, only giving up 16 shots here, 17 shots there. When Francouz was in there, they felt like they could play a little bit more. So I think they just felt like they wanted to shore up a position of weakness. Plus, like I said, the cap, they're not going to be able to pay him $5-6 million what he wants. So look, you have a guy there that you know, and you have an unknown Georgiev, but he looks pretty good.
So sticking with Colorado here, you tagged me on a post here right before the show, just after Dan's Let's Talk Sports show, of let me try to get this name right, Valeri Nichushkin.
Yeah, I'd say you did a really good job.
Yeah.
I'd say I got it. Yeah, Valeri Nichushkin signs a new 8-year deal, $6.125 million as his cap hit, and yeah, so he goes from being the 13th overall pick in 2010, having some issues in Dallas, getting his contract bought out, signing a league minimum deal, re-signing for like $2.5 million, and now he's getting paid after producing for the Avalanche. So they keep one of their top 6 forwards there. Good deal for him. 8 years might be a little much. We'll see if he makes it 8 years in Colorado. But they're trying to keep the band back together and trying to keep everybody under that $10 million mark or close to it, because Nathan McKinnon's doing a new deal next year. So they're trying to keep that championship window open as much as possible.
Gotcha. And something in this, some of the contract stuff that I don't see in other sports, there's a modified no movement clause for the first 3 years, and then the final 5 years is a 12-team no trade clause. What?
Yeah.
Explain those for me.
So now the player can choose where he wants to go. I think in the NFL they might give out contracts like that. The player has an option to where he wants to get traded. So for instance, prior to the following league year, which always starts on July 1st, you have to submit a list to the league of teams that you don't want to go to. So say, for instance, I was signed a deal with Florida, for instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a 10-team no trade clause. My first 7 teams are going to be all the Canadian teams because I'm not paying taxes and I'm not going up there. And then add 3 other teams, and they have to submit that list. So say the general manager gets contact from one of those teams. Look, my player has a list. You're not on it. He would have to waive his no trade clause or no movement clause to go there. Similar to what happened with Tampa Bay and Ryan McDonough when he went to Nashville. He has a full no trade clause. He had to be asked to say, hey, we got to trade you because of cap ramifications. We have to move you. He has to agree to it, and then the trade can go through.
It's not a bad
Jim, I know the draft just happened last week. So how does the draft work? Is it like the NFL and NBA where these guys come in the league right away and they're like huge, they can become huge stars? Or is it like baseball where we have to wait 2 or 3 years down the road to see these guys?
It depends on the draft year, and it depends a lot on the player. So this year, I'm going to say probably you're not going to see any of the first-round picks going to make it to the NHL. It'll be very rare. I just think these guys need time to develop because this is the draft year, the draft class, unless they were playing overseas, we're playing against pros and playing against men where, they may not have seen a lot of game action, especially these junior guys that were playing in the Q and the OHL Western Hockey League because of COVID and all that stuff. Now, the Devils draft pick, Simon Nemec, he is probably most likely going to play in the American Hockey League, so he'll get to develop here in North America. But the first overall pick, Juraj Slafkovský from Slovakia, he may go back overseas to play a year because just to get that development, because the Canadians really don't want to screw this up. So it's similar to baseball. Again, it depends on the year. Like the year Connor McDavid came out or Sidney Crosby came out, they were going straight to the NHL. There was no development for them. They were that good. They were generational talents. Same with Austin Matthews, Jack. They're guys that can go straight from where they were to the NHL. But the year Matthews came out, he was playing in Switzerland against men for a year and putting up ridiculous amount of points. Like the Colorado defenseman, Cale Makar, yeah, he was drafted 4th overall, but he went back to college for a year, and then he just jumped right in. So there's pros and cons to it because some guys may not be ready, and if they take that year to develop and then they jump in, it's a flawless transition. Sometimes if guys go in too early, got to be sent back. Or, what the thing is these guys on their entry-level deal before their first year gets burnt, they have 9 games to play in the National Hockey League before they burn a year. So if they get to 8 games and they don't like what they see, they can just go back to junior or back to college. So I scratch that. You can't go back to college because of
NCAA is not allowing that.
Yeah, no. So, but it's only if you're junior eligible that you can go back to junior after 9 games. So, but you either have, like with the Devils, Luke Hughes is taking a second year of development with Michigan, wants to go win a national championship, going to play in the World Juniors. Bet you by next year he's probably going to be in the AHL or close to being ready to play for the Devils because he's taken the development the right way.
Very interesting. So from your perspective, did any teams come out better from the draft, or is there just a lot of wait and see going on?
I mean, you can look at like Montreal, what they did. They got the big winger who before the draft, he's like, I know what Montreal needs. They need a big winger. But the thing is, people weren't really shocked by it because the back deal to get Kirby Doc from Chicago to get the center, so they didn't need to take Shane Wright. I think Shane Wright going to 4 to Seattle. I think a lot of people speculated the Devils were going to take him at 2, but they didn't. They wanted to go with defense again, a staple, trying to get stuff done for their future on the back end. Logan Cooley falls to 3 at Arizona. I mean, he's going to be a monster, but I think Shane Wright going to Seattle is a great move because they have him and Matty Beniers 1-2 down the middle. The coaching staff might not be there when they're ready to go, but I think Seattle fell into a good player in Shane Wright. I think he's got a big chip on his shoulder like Russell Wilson did, like Aaron Rodgers did in NFL when teams were passing him up. I mean, you should have seen it Thursday night. He got up on stage, glared right at the Canadians' desk, shook the commissioner's hand, stared right back at him, and walked right off. So he was sending a message.
Yeah, that's what we like to see.
Jim, earlier I heard you say like they can get sent back, or there's guys that they got drafted and they're going overseas. Is it like the NBA where that team still owns their rights?
Yeah.
Like, is that how that works? Even if they decide to go back to the juniors, or they go back to overseas and play?
Yeah, they still own their rights. It's different with college eligible players because after X amount of years, if you don't sign with your team that drafted you, you can become a free agent and you can sign anywhere. But if you're drafted and you sign your entry level deal, that team owns you for those 3 years unless they trade you. So you could go back to Europe or you can go back to wherever you play junior hockey, but they own your rights for the length of your entry level deal.
So a quick follow up on that is like, so you're if a college kid doesn't sign his deal and he becomes a free agent, is that common, or is that like that doesn't happen very often? Or like you get drafted? If I got drafted by a shitty ass team, I might as well wait a couple years and either wait it out and get signed by a good team, right? Like, I mean, has that happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's happened. It happens.
The John Elway type thing,
No, it's happened. I mean, recently it's happened a lot. I believe Adam Fox did that. Jimmy Vesey was he did that coming out. He didn't want to sign, and then he signed it with the Rangers. It's happened a lot. Like I believe, who was it? It wasn't Alex Newhook. It was somebody else. I'm trying to think the name, but recently it's happened where players come out, or he's gotten drafted and he's like, I don't want to sign with this team. So it becomes a free agent. And then same with college free agents too, that come out that are undrafted, that there's a big thing towards the end of the regular season when all these college teams are out of it and these guys are undrafted. There's like a race to who can get them first, who can get their rights. So yeah, it's interesting, to see the process through. But yeah, I mean, if it is common to see a lot of that.
Very interesting. So let's hop into a little bit of off-season preview here going on to play. What's some of the big names out there that you're looking to maybe make it splash or I don't know, surprise somebody?
So the big names on the big board right now are Johnny Gaudreau from the Flames, the big winger who's from the New Jersey area, down South Philly area too. So Flyers, Flames, Devils, Islanders in on the mix. Philip Forsberg just signed his new deal with the Nashville Predators over the draft weekend. So he's off the board. Nazem Kadri, the center from Colorado, is still on the board. Malkin looks like Evgeny Malkin from Pittsburgh looks like he's going to free agency. So that's a big splash. We'll see what Andre Palat does as well. John Klingberg's the big defenseman from Dallas that'll hit the market. Looks like David Perron's going to hit the market. The Edmonton Oilers, who picked up Evander Kane prior to the deadline, he looks like he's going to go to market. So there's a lot of big names out there still that you're going to find some good value. As I said on Dan's show, I think there's always going to be somebody who's going to be overpaying players and they're going to regret it because they have yet to learn from their bad decisions.
It's going to be like a Christian Kirk deal going into play, right?
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Is Danny
100%.
Isn't he past his prime? I mean, is he? I know he's a big name, but it seems like that was like a big name 10 years ago. He's been kind of, I know he's been kind of beat up and hurt. Like, is he past it? Is some team going to overpay for Malkin? Is that the guy they're going to overpay because he's a name and, older veteran? Is he past his prime here, Jim?
I mean, I'd like to see what he does outside of Pittsburgh. I mean, look, he missed 41 games last year, came in, played the second half of the year, and recorded 42 points in 41 games. That's a point per game player. I mean, he's still a point per game player. Let's see what he does in the playoffs. I mean, Pittsburgh, there's still a possibility they can re-sign after Chris Letang re-signed there for 6 years. I think that was a little much. I would have probably given him 4 years at most at his age. But he had a career season. A lot of guys had career years. Scoring was up. So if the numbers keep going up, then the offense is going to keep going up. And, Malkin's still going to be able to produce. But again, the injuries, the knee, is that going to hold up? What can he do in the playoffs? His temper's got the best of him lately, and he's faded in games. He's been non-existent at times, especially when the Penguins get eliminated in the first round. Like, this year he had 6 points in 7 games. That's great. But you look at the other times, 3 points in 7 games or 2 points in 6 games. I'm like, all right, this guy won a Conn Smythe Trophy in 2009. He was this leading scorer in 2017. I mean, age does catch up with you, but he's still a good player. But I would probably only give him like a 3-year deal at his age right now.
Wow. Any other questions, Nick?
Yeah, I got one more. So I was listening to the radio, and they were saying during the draft that the Blackhawks have a 10-year plan to try to rebuild that thing. Is that realistic? I mean, you talk any other sport I know said that we have a 10-year plan to get us back on track. It doesn't matter how many Stanley Cups they won, 10 years ago. 10 years was a long time. As a Packer fan, if they told me, hey, we got a 10-year plan, I would say you need to shorten it to about a 4-year plan, or I might have to turn in my fan card. So, I mean, are Blackhawk fans, are they going to be that patient to wait 10 years or, for the Blackhawks to turn it around? We know how good they were, at the, turn of, early 2010s and things like that when they won 2 or 3 Stanley Cups. But now their players are older and they're trying to rebuild. But 10 years, that's a long time, Jim.
That's a really long time in hockey. I mean, granted, the Devils have been rebuilding for a while now, so I really can't complain. But they've had a playoff appearance in there. They went to a Stanley Cup final in 2012, but, Lou Lamoriello did, do them dirty a little bit. But, hey, as far as the Blackhawks go, no one really knows what's going on there right now because, 10 years is a long time. When Jeff Gordon came into the Rangers and they were rebuilding, he said, look, I got this 4-year plan. It's in a letter. They told him what this is going to happen. There's going to be some hard times. And Rangers fans said, okay. Then Panarin got signed. Things started moving in the right direction, but they never wavered off the plan. When you rebuild a team, you want to rebuild around young players. This is why I don't understand why you traded 21 and 24-year-old in Alex DeBrincat and Kirby Dach. Those are foundational pieces you can build around. Yes, I know Dach has not lived up to his draft status, but the kid went through 2 COVID seasons, broken wrist at the World Juniors. He really hasn't fully developed into the potential that he can be. Alex DeBrincat is a consistent 30-goal scorer and can score 40 in his sleep sometimes. So, I don't get what they're doing there. Then you bring in Mrazek. I know they need goaltending, but geez. And now there's rumor, now they're not going to qualify Dominic Kubalik, Dylan Strome. These are guys you can build around. And now Seth Jones, Patrick Kane, and Jonathan Toews are going to be like, all right, what are we doing here, fellas? Like, what are we doing? And you got to wonder if Kane wants out. I don't know if anybody's going to take a run on Jonathan Toews. And Seth Jones is like, he left a situation in Columbus where if he stayed, I think the Columbus Blue Jackets are probably still in the playoff picture with him on the blue line because that's how good he is. And now he's going to a situation where I don't know if anybody's going to take on that contract. So the Blackhawks, I don't know what they're doing, but 10 years is a long time because you want original 6 teams to flourish. It's good for the National Hockey League when the Bruins, when the Red Wings, when the Maple Leafs, Canadians, Rangers, Blackhawks are doing well because that means business is going well.
Makes sense, yeah. Isaiah, who's on next year for some MLB, says they'll be fine. My Knicks have been rebuilding for over 20 years and destroying it again, then rebuilding again. I was just going to say the Royals have been a 30-year progress, so we're going on another 30 probably. And then the Cubbies, right? Another 50? Is that what we're looking at?
So. Yeah, probably so. I mean, I feel bad for the city of Chicago if they're waiting 10 years for the Cubs, 10 years for the Blackhawks, and the Bulls are still rebuilding at the same time.
And what about the Bears?
Yeah, then the Bears.
They're just waiting for a great fire to burn the city down, so they have to rebuild the city all up again.
There we go.
Seriously, man. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, nobody really knows what's going on in Chicago. But hey, you know what? Good luck. I mean, the draft picks look pretty good. I mean, they had 0 first-round picks and they got 3 first-round picks. Let's see if they can do something with it. But again, 10 years is a long time to rebuild a franchise that won a Stanley Cup as recently as 2015. They knocked out the Edmonton Oilers in the bubble a couple of years ago. So they have pieces they could have made a nice run, maybe one more run they could have put together with the right nucleus of players that they had there, because they had a nice foundation with Kane, Taves, Kubalik, Dylan Strome, DeBrincat. Like, you had guys there, and then you just have to plug and play something else. I mean, their back end, was a little, all right, needed some work. But you know what? They almost hung on and made the playoffs the following year. So I don't know what they're doing in Chicago.
Well, Dane. Well, that was great. I know we got Wednesday starts the free agency. You called that free agency madness. What was that on
free agency frenzy?
Frenzy. That's right. And I think that's what I put on the thumbnail. I think I was good there. So we got free agency frenzy starting Wednesday. And we'll have to see how that goes here. So, but Jim, I'm gonna let you go. I know you got a show to get to, man. We got Isaiah on the other side. So,
thanks,
but
Jim.
Hey, we'll get you on again. I appreciate you always.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. Such a pleasure.
Yep. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, that's always fun. Some new. Hey, we start talking hockey here, man. You were on top of it.
I feel like a good expert. You know, I had some good questions in there. Surprise myself every once in a while, Tanner. I surprise myself.
I didn't have a notebook or anything.
I'd have 0 notes every show, dang near.
Well, cool. Well, let's switch and talk something we're a little bit more comfortable about here. We'll bring on Isaiah Hansen of the Athletes Hub.
Yes.
What's going on, man?
Doing good.
What's up,
doing
Isaiah?
Good.
How you doing? Welcome to the Buffoon and Bodkins show, my brother.
Doing great. As the mayor of the Yankees fan club, I'm happy.
So just go ahead and mute him, Tanner. We don't allow Yankee fans on here.
But you said buffoons, right? So here I am.
We're right there, man. Oh man, hey, so I love it, man. And you got real quick here for the Athletes Hub and stuff. What nights are your shows, or is it kind of sporadic? I know you're on Wednesdays before we go live, but what are some of your nights, real quick?
Yeah, so consistently Mondays at 4, we have our free baseball show.
I tuned into that today.
Yeah, they killed it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend that one, but they killed it today. And then we got our deep takes from 3, of course, where we talk the NBA. That one I'm a part of usually. The goal is usually Tuesday, but our schedules are all over the place. So that's just once a week. Let's just say that. And and that's about it for now. We do plan on expanding with more. And of course, I got the Let's Talk Sports I do with Dan. Our Yankees talk every Tuesday. So
that's the show I miss. I'm on Dan's stuff all the time. I purposely miss all Yankee talk.
all he sees is Yankees in the description. He's out.
Well, you can tune into our Knicks talk that we have, if you want to see us really suffer.
Well, awesome. Hey, let's talk some baseball here. So kind of want to get your initial thoughts here. The MLB All-Star roster got announced. We're almost basically a week away from Home Run Derby time and All-Star game. But what's your initial thoughts of the roster? What did you like? What didn't you like of it?
I mean, besides just seeing 6 Yankees in there, and to be honest, a lot of it was a little bit of disappointment. I'm like, hey, where's Gleyber Torres? Where's Rizzo? Guys like that. But in all honesty, looking not a ton of surprises, but this is not the Yankee fan in me. This is the baseball hat of me. Seeing a guy like Jose Trevino in there after not even being projected to make the roster. He was like our 3rd catcher if we had one before the catcher we had acquired had went down. So seeing him, living his dream on the team he always wants to play for is really cool. And then, of course, you see a guy like Jazz Chisholm over there on the Marlins, who is somebody I've been following. I've been holding him in fantasy baseball for, since he was still in the minor league. So it's really cool to see somebody like that. You don't see a lot of surprises. Of course, I'm happy to see Ronald Acuna in there. Jock Peterson's another guy that's easy to root for. So, and Julio Rodriguez. So the youth movement's on. So really good. And it's important for me to see somebody like Julio Rodriguez be in there because early in the year, baseball finally decided to give their rookies a shot, not try to manipulate time. And Rodriguez has delivered and proved that works too, and you get some production there. So, hey, a whole lot to unpack, of course. But I'm excited. I'm always excited this time of year.
How about the first brothers being in the All-Star game since?
Yeah, my guy Willie, the Contreras brother, my boy Willie Contreras.
Yeah. Braves DH replacing Bryce Harper. I believe that was announced today. And then Wilson Contreras and the catcher for the Cubs. So, how about that? We haven't seen that in a long time.
This is where baseball gets romantic. We love that sort of stuff, right? So, lots of good stories. It's definitely gonna be fun to watch.
You said my guy Rizzo. I mean, obviously, I'm a diehard Cubs fan. Isaiah, obviously, so yeah. That's part of the reason I hate the Yankees. Gleyber Torres, Anthony Rizzo, all guys that at one time donned a Cub uniform on. But Wilson Contreras and his brother. I think they said that they were the brothers since the Alomar brothers. What 93 or 95?
No, I think it was earlier than that. I think it was 90 to 91, something in that range.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
Is there some guys that you feel like that got left off that the quote unquote snubs that they are going to be that you had that pegged that could have got in that just fell short?
Yeah, of course you see Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler over there missing the All-Star game was kind of surprising to me. You see JD Martinez, who's really having a comeback year, but I guess with him being a DH, it's not too surprising. You got Ohtani and Alvarez killing it, but that's the thing with baseball. There's so much talent right now. Naturally, there's going to be a whole lot of snubs. I remember seeing, was Ty France? I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it. Did Ty France not make the All-Star game? To me, that's another one. If I could, I would just want to quadruple check because last I checked, he did not make the All-Star.
Nope, he did not. So he's I mean, you got a 306 average for the Mariners, 10 home runs. You might be being outshined currently by the hype of Julio Rodriguez out there, the rookie, but I mean, that guy's having a hell of a year. I agree with Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler was my guy that I thought should have been in, and I was very disappointed there. And another guy, Carlos Rodon, I think should have probably snuck in there somewhere too. Yeah. But again, like you said, the talent pool is just outrageous right now.
And I hate to admit it, right? But another guy, just want to get some credit to too. Over on the Astros, you got Jeremy Pena, who's been exactly what you could have hoped in losing Carlos Correa, and he's also a guy that was snubbed. So there's a lot of talent. Of course, injuries are still bound to, knock on wood, hopefully they don't, but they're bound to happen, and we're bound to get replacements. Mm-hmm. But yeah, definitely some big snubs for sure. But on the other side of the coin, I look at the roster. There's not really names I would really take off, to be honest. I think everybody that's in there also kind of deserves it. So,
Yeah, no, I agree. And only one Royal made it for me, Benintendi, as expected. I think if Perez would have stayed healthy, he probably could have snuck in. But,
yes,
even Greinke is not having a really bad year. He just can't get any offense. So there's that. Hey, and the Cubbies, you had quite a few Cubbies in there, I thought.
Yeah, we had two. We had Wilson Contreras, who we talked about, and my boy Ian Happ, who's really turned it around. Ian Happ's had an up and down career. So when they brought him up, he was touted kind of be like that Ben Zorbis type, and then he didn't even made it, and then was I think 2018 he didn't even make it out of camp. They sent him back down, and now he's kind of turning it around in a contract year. Which is, if you're a Cubs fan, that's what scares you because you got two guys in Wilson Contreras and Ian Happ in, contract years and the trade deadline's happening. So this might be their last weeks as a Cub and their last game, All-Stars in a Cub uniform. I wouldn't be surprised. Don't get me started.
Don't get us going.
I mean, look, take it from a Knicks fan. Like when they did not trade Mitchell Robinson at the trade deadline, I almost I almost destroyed everything in my room. So the Cubs are doing the right thing. I think you got to kind of just keep the rebuild.
You have to build around somebody, though. Wilson Contreras is the second. I think that right now, arguably the best catcher in the game.
Well,
I mean,
Rizzo will probably hit free agency again. He could go after it. So
we need to extend somebody. Why not make it Wilson Contreras? Ian Happ, extend those guys. Ian Happ's not asking Javi Baez money. No, Wilson Contreras isn't asking Javi Baez type money either. Extend them. Anthony Rizzo wasn't asking for got less in the offseason than what he asked for the Cubs, but I mean, still wasn't asking a huge amount of money, wasn't asking Chris Bryant money. There's no reason Anthony Rizzo should be in a Yankee uniform. I've said it time and time again on every podcast I've been on.
I'm excited again.
Listen, don't worry. We're taking good care of him over here. Look, as the mayor of the Yankee fan base, I know how toxic this fan base can be. But they've treated Rizzo with a lot of respect. So
I appreciate it. Take good care of my boy, will you? Take good care.
Joey Gallo, on the other hand, he's getting, crucified. But yeah, no, Rizzo's been well liked and very popular.
Who's a guy? Who are you? They haven't said the starters yet, but who are you pointing out? If you had to pick your starter for the game, and one in the National League, obviously one in the American League, who are you anointing your starter to be on this? Because that's kind of like the honor, right? Like it's a big honor to start the All-Star game. So who are you giving it to?
Biasness aside, right? I think naturally, maybe because it's a feel-good start. This is truly biasness aside. I got to go with Justin Verlander just because nobody expected. I mean, it's more of a story, I guess. And of course, the numbers back it up too. But you consider a guy that missed the entire year last year. I was doing my free agency predictions article. I do like every year, like a year prior. And I had him, going to somewhere like the Tigers for a farewell tour. Like I thought it was over. And here he goes and turns around like a ridiculous season. And he's like turning into the Tom Brady of baseball where he just doesn't get old. Like you look at Zach Greinke, who's still pretty good. But those are two guys like I always kind of group together because they kind of were elite at the same time. And then Verlander is just still there, even though he's on probably my least favorite team being the Astros. I think that's the guy you got to give the honor to.
I agree there. I agree with Verlander. What about National League? What are you thinking there?
National League. This one right here. One second. Just got to get a little brief refresh right here. I think I just lost it.
Okay.
One second. Oh, yeah, I clicked Justin Verlander. Okay, give me 1 second. Sorry, I don't have notes either. I caught what she said.
You're right.
So, yeah, the national – okay. See, I don't know why I look. See, if I wanted to keep the theme going, maybe I would go with a guy like Clayton Kershaw. But I'm going to go with somebody who surprised me this year, another guy who people thought were done and I thought was done at times, Luis Castillo over there. With they don't got too much going on over there in Cincinnati. So you got to give them something to, like, cheer for, but of course I'm also tempted to go with like Clayton Kershaw, who's been doing this forever, and again could be another Tom Brady of baseball where he might just go 20 years of being elite, but he's still young, so there's a lot of you can't really go wrong there in the National League for sure.
Go ahead, Nick. I tell you.
Yeah, what's your expectations of Shohei Ohtani? He got elected in as a pitcher and a hitter, so I mean, are we going to see that? They're going to showcase him, right? Like
they got to.
He's the best player in baseball right now. I mean, is it? It's got to be, right? He's doing things that we've never seen before.
Like in a way, like as long as he continues to do what he does, unless we get another two-way player, he's probably by default the best player in baseball. So like whenever we have this discussion, we're going to be like, so who's the best hitter in baseball? Who's the best pitcher in baseball? Because otherwise, best overall player, of course, is going to have to go to Shohei Ohtani for as long as he is at least semi-elite at each position.
That's the thing. It's not like he's shitty at one and good at another one. He's elite legit at both. He's a great pitcher and he's a great hitter. Half the time I see him he's hitting home runs to help himself out because nobody else is. I mean,
it's not fair. I mean, I think one thing we could agree on: the Angels definitely do not deserve Shohei Ohtani. They don't deserve him
That was fun. I know.
Yeah, see? I hope he's not an Angel fan.
Hey, I don't know what happened
You were
there.
talking shit about the Angels, and that just they found out.
Yeah, because they don't deserve.
You don't deserve them. God struck it right there. That was.
They were like,
Yeah, it went quick too. I was like, "What?" I didn't even nothing refreshed either. It just left. So, what are you thinking? I'll ask you that question later on after we see what Aaron Judge. I have a question for you in the offseason come play. I'm going to keep that in mind. So what do you think of home run derby wise? Do we see Pete Alonso pull a King Griffey Jr. and win 3 in a row, or because I heard your boy Stanton might be in play. He said he might participate.
listen,
Albert Pujols just announced he's in.
Good. Oh, okay.
You just said the name. Look, I'm not saying he's going to win. Of course, I think I got to go with Pete Alonso. But my rooting interest lies with one person. That is Albert Pujols. Like, that man deserves all the respect. Oh, by the way, I love the legacy, like the legacy addition to the All-Star game. I think that's really great.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we had that when Ichiro was still playing. Like, there's so many. Like, this is a really good addition. You got Pujols. I don't know if I'm so happy about Miggy Cabrera being there because he's retiring next year. So it's like, are you going to give him back-to-back All-Star nods? You know what I mean?
Probably.
But yeah, Pujols being in there is really cool, and he's my rooting interest. But yes, you got to go with Pete Alonso. Like, he takes this thing very seriously. Like, I don't know. Like, this might be the Michael Jordan of the dunk contest. This might be like Pete Alonso's thing moving forward. I think he may end up being, and this sucks to say because I hate the Mets, by the way. That's this is like to throw up right now. But yeah, he may just take this, and even if Giancarlo's in there. Yeah, I got to go with Pete Alonso.
Yeah, I've seen just coming across here too. The Athletic is reporting that Pujols is in, Acuna's in, and Juan Soto all in. That's what Bleacher Report.
Juan. All right.
All reporting that they're all going to be in the home run derby. So that's kind of that's some big names for the home run derby. That's the difference between the home run derby and the NBA, slam dunk contest. The derby gets it right and put their hitters, prime guys out there, guys with big names, some star power. Where you turn on the NBA dunk contest, it's like, who is this guy? Oh, I might remember him when he played in college. If I remember,
that's right. If you remember.
Hey.
All right. So go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. My one bright spot as a Knicks fan. Okay, we got Obi Toppin when we go to slam dunk contest. I'm holding on to that with dear life. Okay.
Hold it. All right. So wrap you up here with MLB All-Star. Basically, weekend coming up here. Give me your MVP of the All-Star game. Who is it? Who walks away?
Oh man, look. If Shohei Ohtani pitches and he manages to also hit a home run, I think we got to go with that. But damn it. I'm going with Aaron Judge. I don't care.
There it is.
Every time he goes up to the plate, it feels like it's going to be a home run. Like this is like it's bittersweet for me too, by the way, because I do feel like this is our last year. So I'm just trying to sit back and enjoy it as much as possible. But yes, Aaron Judge. I got him at least hitting a home run. Maybe I don't know. I'm going with Judge. Damn it.
I'm going to pick. I don't know if we're picking either, but I'm going to go ahead and pick Tanner.
Go ahead.
So I got Shohei if the AL wins, because that's just if he's going to do something. If he gets 2 hits and pitches two innings, they'll give it to him. And the guy that we just talked about, my arch rival nemesis of the Cardinals, Albert Pujols. If Pujols gets 2-3 hits, they're going to give it to him as a sympathy, nice going away gesture. If the National League. So those are my 2 picks there.
I was thinking Verlander or Pujols for that side, and then Ohtani for the AL. So, well, Isaiah, I appreciate you joining us. We're gonna have you back on. Hopefully, maybe next week because the trade deadline's coming up too. So maybe we'll talk some baseball trades. So going into play, but we appreciate you hopping on, guys. Make sure you go check out the Athletes Hub. Isaiah and those guys do actually a phenomenal job. Watched the baseball show today, and it was very insightful. They went down the whole futures lineup and then threw out the whole all-star roster and everything. So it was actually really informative. So I do appreciate that. So
shout out Mr. Jake Crumpler. Thank you so much.
Right.
Hey, take care of my boy Rizzo, Isaiah. Take care of my boy.
I'll make sure. I really like him. You got him.
Thanks, Isaiah.
No problem.
Yeah, there we go. You got your MLB, and we'll talk a little bit more MLB towards the end of the show with Jonathan Grishman. But now, guys, let's bring in Michael Price of the Rec League Rejects. What's going on, man?
What's going on?
How you doing?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Just chilling, thinking about how many picks we're going to have this year. We now have the top 2 rated quarterbacks in thrown interceptions since 2018 on the roster. So, there's going to be some defenses feasting, I think. But, sorry, we're rolling right into the Panthers. I'm a Panthers fan.
No, I'm all for it. I want to know your thoughts.
We can tell because you got the best outfit Cam Newton's ever wore.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? I think Baker brings a certain je ne sais quoi to the team that we've been missing since the glory days of Cam. I like a quarterback that wakes up feeling dangerous. We haven't had that in a little bit. So, he's just going to bring a little bit of excitement, at least on the sidelines, that, Sam Darnold scores a touchdown and just kind of like walks back and doesn't say anything and just like sits down and looks at the tablet, right? Like, Baker Mayfield's going to be going up and down the field. He's going to be talking to the other team. Like, I don't know. That's what I want for my signal.
Is he going to be grabbing his nuts like he did in Oklahoma versus KU because KU refused to change it?
I mean, realistically, though, like, he can probably get away with it in Carolina a little bit more than he could somewhere else.
That's fair.
If we're winning, nobody really is going to care what he's doing.
That's a big if.
We're looking at back-to-back 5-win seasons here. So if we can do better than that, I think we're going to be happy. But I don't think it really moves the needle at all. Maybe a little bit over Sam Darnold, but not a lot.
Do you want to do better than 5 wins? Because if you 5 wins, Matt Rule's gone. If you get 8 wins, he probably maybe keeps his job. I mean, is that something that you want? Because I think most Panther fans would probably tell you, I think that they want him gone.
I have no real issue with Matt Rule. I know, like, I'm still kind of a new football fan, so I don't really get why everybody hates Matt Rule, other than the fact that we're losing. I understand in sports, the coach is typically the first guy on the chopping block. He's the easiest guy to replace. It doesn't count against the salary cap to replace the coach. You know what I mean? So, he's always going to be the first one gone when we're struggling. But, yeah, I have no issue with Matt Rule. It seems like the players like him. That's something that I really like from my coach is someone who's bringing that sort of camaraderie and maybe the family. Maybe too many Baylor guys.
Maybe
that's why he's been able to build that so quickly, is because it's just guys he already has an established rapport with. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have that much of an issue with Matt Rule. I just want to see winning football. I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't feel like he's only had a few years out of his big old 10-year contract or whatever it is.
8-year contract, right?
Yeah.
So
you gave him 8-year contract for a reason. Let him play it out, man. At least get to 5 before you start trying to can somebody,
And I think that's so. For me, I think Baker, the trade, that's more Dave Tepper than it is Matt Rule.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Tepper, coming from Pittsburgh, he wants a quarterback that's going to lead the team. That's what he wants. He's kind of come in right off the bat and said that. That's why we got rid of Cam, is because he didn't see him as the future. And I agree, he wasn't the future, but it still hurt me the way it all went down with him and Luke Kuechly and everything. Anyway, we're not gonna. It's past that now. We're into the future. Baker Mayfield time.
That's right.
But the best offensive line that I've ever seen the Carolina Panthers have. I mean, on paper at least, we only have one offensive line spot that we're playing by committee at instead of 4. That's great. That's a huge improvement. Baker and Sam have both proved that when they have time to make decisions, they can make effective decisions. They're just not guys that can really play under pressure that well. And I don't think they'll have to. Hopefully, fingers crossed, they won't have to. They'll have more than half a second to make a decision this season.
Well, the key there in Carolina will be CMC. I mean, he hasn't played in almost pretty much 2 years. I mean, bits and pieces last year, bits and pieces the year before. He hasn't been healthy in 2 years. So that'll be the key. We haven't seen him in a Matt Rule offense, at all. And
when we do, he's an absolute game breaker, right? So, it's weird now. I have kind of almost accepted that we're not going to have him for the whole season. Like, I'm not even really thinking about that. Like, we have, young guys. We got Chuba. I know we drafted a couple running backs, and we signed somebody. Like, clearly the team is not expecting to have him for the full season either. Either that, or they're just trying to take some of the workload off him, because I think that's a lot of the issues with the injuries, right? It's just he's playing 98% of the snaps for the whole team for the whole season. Like nobody can do that. So
so just because more on Carolina here, right? So Baker is used to a pretty good defense. You guys lost a few key pieces, I believe, during the offseason. How do you feel about your defense to be able to get off the field this year?
I like the defense. I like where the secondary is right now. Our secondary has always kind of been a weak spot, but I think we lost. Why can I not think of his name? Buddy from New England. He's gone. Yeah, but we still have Dante Jackson. Jason Horn hopefully is actually going to play more than a couple games this season, and we got C.J. Henderson. So for quarterbacks, we're in a good situation right now. I like the idea that maybe Jeremy Chinn's going to be able to move up and play more in the middle of the field instead of playing high safety all season. He's definitely more of he's a Swiss Army knife, and they need to just use him wherever he needs to be, and sort of having him slotted in at one position, I don't think is great for him, because I think he really is a positionless player on our defense. So I think you'll see him move up and sort of play some of that outside linebacker that we're gonna lose with. Sorry guys, I just got home from work. I'll be honest with you.
You're all right, man.
You're all right, brother.
Hassan Reddick left. So with Hassan Reddick, obviously we're losing 13 sacks there, right? So I think you'll see Jeremy Chinn move up and attack the line a little bit more than he's been able to, just because our secondary hasn't been strong enough to support them back there, right? So I'm okay with where the defense is at, honestly. I think we're going to see Derek Brown take another step forward. And Brian Burns is a monster. I think he's going to continue being a monster. I don't think the defense is going to be an issue. I think it's just going to be making sure Baker can connect with the receivers, because that's something Sam couldn't get. So if Baker can somehow get the ball into DJ Moore's hands more than Sam could, I'm happy. I can't watch a whole season of receivers running great routes and just having the ball thrown over their heads.
Yeah, speaking of receivers, what's the deal with Robbie Anderson? I mean, we already kind of know that he originally didn't want Baker there, but then there was reports at camp that he was talking about retiring before OTAs is what I was reading. Like he wasn't going to show up at all and was thinking about retiring. What's the read on Robbie Anderson?
I'm not a big Robbie Anderson guy, honestly. I was okay with bringing him in for the 2-year deal. But now on the big fat extension, I'm not sure that, he brings enough to the table to be commanding that number in the cap for me, for a guy who basically is just speed. All he is vertical, right? He doesn't do much more than run that one vertical route. And he runs it well. He's fast, but that's it. When they're covering him or doubling him in certain situations, like he really is useless. To me personally, Deep Moore is the best receiver on the team, and the offense is going to live and die with him and CMC. To me,
no, I agree. And Robbie Anderson has the issue of staying healthy for the whole entire season. So there's a guy on your roster now that has familiarity with Baker Mayfield, Rashard Higgins, who came from Cleveland. That's a guy that could potentially through training camp step right in and maybe bump Terrence Marshall back real quick, but he's a guy who could replace Robbie Anderson coming into play for that 2 spot later on in the season, I believe.
Because I think DJ gives you everything that Robbie does plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the issue with Carolina is we've had sort of a one-dimensional offense where we have a whole bunch of guys that are all doing the same thing at the same time. Right, it's just blinding speed, but there's no big guy to get the ball to, none of that. So I really like Terrence Marshall, being that hopefully big body receiver that we kind of haven't had. I mean, Funchess was not great, but Funchess was a big body receiver. Yeah. And we don't have that anymore. We have guys that could probably play running back on other teams, who just happen to also be really good at receiver. Probably better at receiver, but Curtis Samuel, we've seen DJ take snaps at running back. I think we've seen Robbie take snaps at running back. So, all these guys are stupid fast, but, I like Terrace. He kind of mixes things up. And yeah, Rashard Higgins, if he comes in and plays well in training camp, I like Matt Rule enough. You know, his whole thing is you got to earn your spot. He doesn't care how much money you're making. If you play better than somebody, you're going to get more snaps. And I like that. So that, for me, is part of the reason why maybe I am a bit of a Matt Rule guy, because he does make his guys earn it. So
That's true.
What's the realistic expectations like? I mean, you're saying for Panthers, like win-wise, you know, is it let's just put over under 6.5 here. You got 5 wins. You're bringing in Baker Mayfield, because I don't think Sam Darnold's winning that competition. I think it's Baker's the whole way through. It's not going to be. We saw the Sam Darnold show. It's over with. It's Baker's team. So let's just say 6.5 wins. Is that over or under? I mean, what's the realistic expectations here?
I think I'm over on that. You know, I could see us having 8 or more wins. You know, there's been a lot of games that are really close that we've been, you know, one key play away from really, you know, making a difference, sending it to overtime or winning the game. And Baker's a gamer. You know, say what you want. He's one of those guys that seems to show up in the clutch moments, where Sam Darnold seems to kind of fall flat. You know, we, for whatever reason, all of last season, we were a first half team. If we beat you in the first half. And then the defense held you for a half. But, you know, our offense has not been able to do anything in the second half, like for the past couple seasons. You know, if you want to go back to Teddy Bridgewater and, you know, just the second half for us, for whatever reason, when things get tight, when it's time to really show up and show us what you're made of, all of our quarterbacks seem to kind of crumble under the pressure. And I don't know, for whatever reason, Baker doesn't give me that vibe. You know, he seems like a kind of guy who can actually rise to an occasion and maybe make a clutch play under pressure. And, you know, yeah, he's been to the playoffs more than Sam Darnold has. So.
It's true. That. I think you are in better hands, honestly, with Baker Mayfield. I actually do love the move for you guys, just for the fact that DJ Moore now has somebody confident throwing to him versus Sam, not very confident. Cam Newton's unsure what the heck's going on in his world. So, but what do you think about Matt Corral, third round?
I like it. You know, obviously they see something in him, and giving him more time is never going to be a bad thing.
Never.
Right?
Never.
Give him time to learn the offense, really, really click with everybody on the team, and when his time comes, I think he'll show up and show out, you know?
Agreed. Anything else there, Nick?
No, I think, the Matt Corral, I mean, you got to give him time. He's a third-round pick, so that just shows you that he's kind of, you know.
Obviously, the pedigree's not quite there, or he would have been drafted higher.
Right,
right?
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
The offense, and, you know, we've seen that what round you're drafted doesn't really matter in the NFL so much, unless you're, you know, sort of the elite top of the top, right? It's kind of a crapshoot. So you got to kind of just let a guy develop and see what you got. So
yeah, there's no pressure with a third round pick. If they took him in the first or maybe early second, there's a lot more pressure with the third pick. And now you bring Baker. I loved. We talked about it on Saturday on Let's Talk Sports. I loved the move for the Panthers. The Browns are paying them to play against them, you know, and to hopefully maybe beat them week 1. We'll see.
Yeah,
you know, 'cause that's the matchup week 1. So, you know, right on the money here.
Let it happen. I'm ready for this thing to roll. Hey, man, you know, I'm really happy you're happy with the O-line. I know that was a big thing we talked about doing our pre-draft stuff before the draft, our mock draft stuff. You really talked to emphasis the old offensive line there for Carolina. So glad you feel better about it, right?
I do.
So that's a good part. Well, man, you know,
Corbett, Bozeman, and then, you know, probably 4 or 5 guys playing right guard.
Yeah, you got Michael Jordan's depth from Cincinnati, right? You got a guy that's playoff experience. You got Cade Mays, you got in the 6th round, who could be, you know, potentially a great right guard for depth guys. So you got some good depth on your roster there. Yeah,
and I mean, you know, there's inevitably going to be injuries on the offense. It happens every team, every season. You know, some offensive lineman goes down. So
I just hope you don't have to put in Cam Irving. That's all I'm going to say. For Baker Mayfield's health, don't put in Cam Irving.
Yes. Just keep him on the bench. He can be a hype up guy. He can just sit there and you know, let's go, guys. Good job. You know, he can be like, you know, like
he can be the guy that lifts Baker Mayfield in the air after a game-winning touchdown, right? Perfect.
You know, he can be that guy.
Cam, where are you? Cam.
Hey, where you at? You know.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you joining us, talking some Carolina. Well, I'll definitely be giving you a yell here also for my Wednesday show coming in play. So we're going to be starting our division breakdown starting Wednesday. So I'll give you a yell when it's Carolina's time.
Right now, we're like the second best team in the division, just like
Hey, that's all I need to hear.
No.
Calm down, Nate. Calm down. Michael, thanks again, man, for joining. We'll hope to hopefully get you on again.
Hey, see you, Michael. Have a good one, buddy.
Thank you.
Sure, guys.
Michael Price, everybody. He's a fun guy. He was actually really great to talk to on doing our mock drafts here before the NFL draft. So great fun. Well, Nick, while we wait for Jonathan to join in as he gets home and off here, you got some UFC you want to talk about real quick, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had a good matchup this past Saturday. Rafael dos Anjos, RDA is what he liked to call. He was ranked numbers 5 or 6. Took on Rafael Fiziev in the battle of Rafaels in the UFC. This was a big matchup because Fiziev is a guy that was coming on, a younger guy, was trying to break through. RDA is what we like to call in the fight game the gatekeeper. That's the guy that you beat him, you're starting to fight the upper echelon of the guys in the lightweight division. That round was the fight was close. I mean, I sent a tweet out going into the 5th round because it was the main event, so 5 rounds in the main event. And I sent a tweet that said, I don't know who's winning this fight. I hope somebody finishes this fight because I hate when fights go to the judges and then it could go either way and you just don't know how judges are going to score it. Well, Rafael Fiziev answered that when he knocked out RDA in the 5th round, just knocked him out, then got him down, a couple of ground pound punches. Fight was called. Some people wanted to say it was an early stoppage. I thought it was perfect. RDA is an older guy who's been around a long time. At that point in time, he was not fighting back, and his legs got stiff. Anytime you see a fighter's legs get stiff on the way down, just go ahead and call it lights. The lights aren't working. So it was a huge match, a huge win for Rafael Fiziev. He's going to be looking to fight top 5 guys now. He called out Justin Gaethje. Well, first he called out Rafael Nadal in the battle of all Rafaels, so that was pretty funny. But I've been high on this Fiziev guy, but that was his biggest match today, his first main event, his first 5-round fight, answered all the questions. RDA is a guy who could take you down, and he could not take down Fiziev. It was a tough matchup for RDA, just didn't have a lot of answers. Fiziev had nice combinations. He's a guy I like going forward. He called out Justin Gaethje, who's just a guy that can bang with you. I like that fight. Gaethje's currently ranked number 2 in the ranking, so that's a fight that could happen because he hasn't fought him. Fiziev's not fought a lot of guys in the top 5, where Gaethje's fought about every guy in the top 5. So that would be a good matchup going forward. Even a Mike Chandler or Dustin Poirier or somebody like that, somebody that he can bang with. Fiziev is going to be a problem, though. He's a guy I've liked for a while and been high on. He's just been answering the toll. I picked him to win, got the win. This Saturday is going to be another banger in the featherweight division. So we just saw the champ Volkanovski win 2 Saturdays ago. So this is kind of a fight. It looks like Yair Rodriguez, he is taking on Brian Ortega. Ortega, his last fight, lost to Volk. Yair has been told by the UFC, is what he came out today on the MMA Hour and said that if he beats Ortega, he gets a title shot next, is what the UFC is doing. So it's a big matchup for Yair Rodriguez to come out and try to beat Brian Ortega, who has fought for the title twice and is trying to keep his position. And if Yair can win, it could be him and Volk next later down the road.
So we do got a big card coming up then.
Yeah, this is a big main event. It'll be on ABC. The card's pretty decently stacked. A couple other good fights on that card. Miesha Tate, former bantamweight champ, she's making her featherweight debut. I'm gonna pull up the rank card here just so I'm not talking out my ass. But yeah, Miesha Tate is she's fighting her flyweight fight is against Lauren Murphy, and if she wins, she's going to be able to take on the Bullet Shevchenko, who's probably the pound per pound women's champ, the pound per pound women's number 1. So if she wins, and that'll be a great fight because Misha's a former bantamweight champ facing a goat in Chevy, and Misha Tate's was a girl that paved the way fighting Ronda Rousey in those. Shane Burgos is there's good Shane Burgos and Charles Jordan's a good fight on the featherweight. The co-main is two women who have trying to work their way up in the strawweight, in the crowded strawweight division, Michelle Watterson and Amanda Lamoche. That'll be a pretty good fight. But the main event is the featherweight, is the two top guys, ranked 3 and 4, really. Yeah, I guess really 2 and 3. Max Holloway is ranked number 1. The champ, Max Holloway just lost, Brian Ortega, and then Yair Rodriguez. And if Yair can win, reports are that he'll be fighting Volk later down this year.
That's a lot. That's a lot going on, man.
That's why I love the UFC, because it's something every Saturday, man. It's just like it's like the NFL. It just keeps going, and it's so many different weight classes, so many divisions, and it's every week. It's every Saturday night or every Saturday. This fight's on ABC Saturday during the day, so on Long Island.
Yeah, you're gonna have your pregame your shows and everything next couple weeks or what?
We don't do it for fight nights because that's like every Saturday. We only do it for mainly pay-per-views, and there'll be a big pay-per-view at the end of the month, and that's when we'll do the pre and post show. We're gonna probably do one for the London card, because the London card I think is next week or 2 weeks away. I want to say that's in 2 weeks. So yeah, next week, July 23rd, is the London card, and that's a huge card, and we could talk about that a little bit next week. But I'll probably do a pre and post show for that, because that card is stacked 1 through 5. I mean, it's like a pay-per-view for free, baby. I mean, that card is going to be stacked. No title belts on the line, but you got some title contenders and some just big fights that and some big names on that card that are going to be huge.
All right, I'll have to tune in there. So while we're still waiting here, let's go ahead and jump into NBA free agency here, right? There's the Brooklyn Nets, of course, with the biggest 2 stars potential move going into play. But you asked a good question. Are they asking too much? What are you hearing from your side?
Well, I mean, if I'm the Nets, they are asking too much. I mean, you're not asking too much for KD if you're the Nets. Now, what team's going to deliver that is going to be the real question. I mean, I saw, like I said, I think we talked about it on Saturday. It was like they went to the Lakers and asked for LeBron and 5 first-round picks and something else. Dan Bronson has said that that the Nets want to contend at the same time rebuild if they're trying to shift these guys. I'm under the impression, I said this that on Saturday on Let's Talk Sports when we were talking about it, that it's 70% chance that KD's probably a Brooklyn Net next year. I think Kyrie's the one that goes. I think that deal gets done with the Lakers somehow, some way.
Yeah, I fully agree. I believe here's the deal. If something happens this month, then it makes sense. But if nothing happens in July and it waits till August, I fully believe KD and Irving stay in Brooklyn and they make something work. Because I just believe all the moves are gone, all the opportunities gone. They've already looked at the roster and what would have to be given up in order to bring those guys there. Now the Nets could just say screw them and say, because the owner's already ticked off at him as it is and doesn't want them there. So he could just override everybody and say, hey, screw it. We're going to send them where we want and get the players that want to be here, kind of thing. And that could still possibly happen. But I think at the end of the day, I don't see any reason why KD and Irving aren't still in Brooklyn for it. And that could affect LeBron James' decision as well. We talked about that as well, that he won't sign. But yeah, and there hasn't really been too much moves going on either that would affect. I know the Suns are kind of waiting to see what happens with Ayton. I heard there were talks today of him going to the Pacers. going to sign, and then Miles Turner possibly going to the Suns, and that would put the Suns back at the number 1 seed right away. So even without KD, if they had KD with that move, man, that it'd be done. It'd be done. Just hand him the title.
Yeah, I don't know why trade Ayton and give him that deal to the Pacers. Why not use Ayton to try to get KD and make the contracts match up that way? Or maybe they're going to use those picks. Maybe that's the first piece. Me and Dan Brunson were talking about it on this afternoon on the call-in show on Let's Talk Sports too. We were saying that maybe that's the first piece. They got to get rid of Ayton, acquire some picks, more picks, and then ship a couple 2 or 3 players to Brooklyn for KD with like 7-round picks. If they get 3 picks, they get 3 firsts for Ayton, and then they can package those 3 picks with their own next, 2 or 3 picks. That's 6 picks. And let's just say a couple players there, a couple good young Cam Johnson or somebody like that to Brooklyn, then maybe Brooklyn does pull that trigger.
What are the chances Chris Paul falls into a trade dilemma again, going from a contender to the Nets like he did with the Rockets to the Thunder? Do you think it could happen? Do you think the Nets are willing to pay that last little contract that's holding him up from being released?
Maybe so. I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. Would a CP3 be in that? I don't think so. I think the Suns would want to keep Chris Paul, Booker, and Durant all together.
I'm gonna write my book here for next week here. If nothing's happened with the Ayton and Suns situation here, I'm gonna get on Redbird Red Zone, and I might get them anyways. They cover the Phoenix sports area. They're great Arizona Cardinals guys too to listen to. I'm gonna probably give them a message and say, hey, you guys want to hop on? We'll talk a little Phoenix Suns and maybe this DeAndre Ayton situation, because I think they'd really have some insight, maybe more than we would at times. So I might ask them see if they want to pop on next week. So any other big moves you see coming this way?
No, as far as it's just been contract extensions. Damian Lillard got another 2-year extension. He's going to stay there in
just
Portland,
racking up the dough and staying in Portland and doing what he can to scrape by. I do like the recent move here of Kyle Anderson going to from Memphis to the Minnesota. I like that for the depth reasons. That helps Minnesota a bunch because we talked about that for Minnesota. Yes, they got Rudy Gobert, but man, they lost a lot of pieces in that team. So that's a huge one. Looks like Giannis's brother is staying put in Milwaukee as well.
Of course he is.
Yeah, of course. Why would he leave? I would never leave. Bagley and Mobamba signed, staying with
James Harden got his deal. He took a $15 million pay cut to stick around in Philly.
You know what?
And that's,
of course, yeah.
And Harden gets a lot of grief in rap, right? Like for everything that he's done. But I don't feel like this is the one. Nobody's talking about that move, how he did take the pay cut and is trying to stick it out. I don't think we've talked about it before. I don't think he's the James Harden MVP type caliber player that he was, but he's still a very serviceable player. Hopefully now he's recommitted. I think we're going to see, hopefully, come back in shape, ready to go, knowing that he's committed. He hasn't been committed to a place in a while, right? Like
it's been a bit.
2 or 3 years, really. I mean, he wasn't committed to Houston that last year he was there, wanted to get to Brooklyn, realized in Brooklyn, the little bit of time he was there, this is not for me. I need to get the hell out of here, and wasn't committed there. So hopefully now with this pay cut and the way people talked, the media talked about how his performance was, and we talked about it too, even how he wasn't there for the Sixers when they needed him to be in the playoffs against the Heat. Maybe he's going to get committed and work on his craft a little bit more, and we're going to see, the kind of the old James Harden instead of an old James Harden.
Yeah, and I'm just saying props to him because, like you said, all we do is talk crap on him, crap on his attitude and everything. The guy decided to take a pay cut to try to make a team more of a contender than it already is. So yeah, man, props to him. Like I'll give Harden something here. Now, how about you perform on field? Have you paid attention to any of the summer ball going on?
A little bit. And speaking of another nice moves, just real quick before you get into it, I just seen Gallinari reach a 2-year deal with the Celtics. I like that. Another nice
that was the big one.
3-and-D guy, another guy who can come off the bench and help them out. And I like that move for the Celtics. Just another nice bench guy to add to the nice bench that they already have.
Yeah, it's just like it just blows my mind that they have all like some of these good teams are loading back up essentially. 76ers, the Celtics. You can even consider the Nets getting Nick Claxton back and some of the other guys continuing to come back if Kyrie and them would stay. They did lose Bruce Brown, who was a great defender, but that's the Nuggets. The Nuggets are loading up again too. On top of an already playoff eligible team there. And then the Clippers, if Leonard would just become healthy and Paul George stay healthy throughout the year, they already have John Wall there. They got Batum back. Like that's a veteran presence that you can't, really downplay, because that's a huge thing for the Clippers right now is veteran presence and having the young guys understand. So I don't know. I think the Clippers could be another bounce back playoff team this year, depending health.
Yeah, then you mentioned the Nuggets, then that's their biggest thing. I mean, they didn't have Jamal Murray or Porter, both out with injuries majority of the year. Jamal Murray didn't play at all this year, and Porter's, it seems like he's 1 year hurt, 1 year healthy, 1 year hurt. Now this should be the healthy year coming out. So, they're a team was a playoff team, obviously with a 2-time MVP. They should be, if healthy wise, they could get back to maybe 1 or 2, 3 seed in the West there.
Yeah, and then the Suns go out and get Damian Lee from Golden State, which is something they needed too. They needed some depth in that point in that guard position, and Damian's one of those guys that at 29 years old, he'd be perfect for that team. Perfect guy to come out there and help out Chris Paul and Devin Booker there. So coming into play. So I'm excited for that. Levine sounds like he's very confident in his role. I don't know if you've heard a lot in the Chicago world, but I heard a lot of good things coming from Levine on his deal and Chicago situation.
Yeah, I mean, he just wanted to be back in Chicago. That he didn't meet with any other team. That's always a sign that the Bulls wanted him. He wanted to be a Bull. They got the deal done. They've added some nice pieces.
Derek Jones Jr.'s back.
Yeah, if they can stay healthy and continue to be healthy, they got their backup point guard, and we talked about it already, and I can't remember who. Oh, Dragic, that's who it was.
Yep.
Yeah. So to maybe take the place of Lonzo Ball, who we don't know if ever is going to play again. So I like what the Bulls have done. They were real hot in the first half. I was really happy, and then we just kind of once Ball we just had injuries. Ball got hurt. What's the white ball guy that's escaping my name?
Colby White or no?
No. He's white guy. Caruso.
Caruso. Yeah.
Caruso got hurt. We just had injuries the second half, and then we just got stuck in some bad, when you play the Bucks and things like that, we got bad seeding, and we weren't gonna beat the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, you guys it was a tough schedule too going out too for them. So on top of all the injuries, like you said, and unfortunately was just going down to a downfall, and it was quick. So, but I'm excited for them this year. I think they're gonna cause some more riffraff coming into play. So, so you've checked out summer ball a little bit. Have you seen the shots of Kenny Lofton Jr.? This guy's like I think he's 265, 285, right? And people are like yelling about Zion, about his weight and stuff. Well, this guy is freaking dominating summer ball right now. He like 19 points. He's at double-digit boards all the time. He's just dominating it at 285, like 6'6". Is what blows my mind. No, he's a big guy. Like I'm not saying like tall guy. I'm saying he's a wide guy. But I feel like there might be more, I don't know, in a way, like more strength, more muscle in there than what may partake on the outside, because this guy's just dominating the crap.
He's the polar opposite of Chet Holmgren, is what you're saying.
Oh, completely. He actually, I think him and Chet went off a couple days ago, and Yeah, he used his weight against Chet, and Chet could not get the teams going here. It was actually quite fabulous to watch him play. Oh man! So what are you thinking here? Who's our way too early favorites for the NBA? Do you have any way too early favorites outside of the Bucks, maybe?
Outside of like the Bucks and the Warriors, way too early favorite. Yeah, I mean that's probably it. The Bucks and if I had to put two teams, the Bucks and the Celtics, Warriors. I like the Nuggets, if health wise too. I think watch out for the Nuggets. I'm really high on them. I was high on them going in 2 years ago, and they just couldn't quite get there. But I think healthy wise, the second half, watch out for the Nuggets, especially. I like to see the Grizzlies take a next step. Did you hear what Ja Morant said
About Jordan?
Yeah, said he'd cook him. He'd cook Jordan. Hey, I love Ja Morant's confidence, but he's the only person that actually believes that.
I want to see that now. Like, I just want to see Jordan. It's like, hey, no, like, I'm going to go over here real quick. Just, all right, let's play. And then lose. Like, he completely just whoops him. You're like 69 years old. Who cares? I'll still kick your ass. Grisham's still about 10 minutes away here, so we'll keep going here. But so Buffoon's here. We're talking Wednesday, some AFC East division predictions, news, and kind of get some thoughts from some guys as well. Well, I got you here. What are some of your thoughts right now for the AFC East? Like, do you think the Bills right now are the Super Bowl favorites? Do you think they stay that way through, let's say, 10 games of the season, or what are we feeling?
I think they're running away with their division. Super Bowl favorite. But let me get a little bit closer to camp. I'm not ready to anoint them yet. 10 games in, they're going to run away with that division. I think the Dolphins probably finish second. If you caught NFL Outdated, we talked about that last night. He's got the Patriots on the Bodkins show, and Mr. NFL Outdated, he's got the Patriots out and pretty much almost finishing third in that division. I kind of agree with him. I think the Dolphins did enough, and I'm not buying into Zach Wilson. He's too busy chasing Cougars instead of studying, football, instead of studying football films. So I'm gonna go. If I had to rank them, Bills 1, Dolphins 2, Patriots 3, Jets 4. I think the Jets will probably, I'm guessing 4 wins, and I'm not looking at schedules. So I'm just, I just kind of think that. I think the Patriots will probably get around 6 wins or 7 wins or so. It'll be, Belichick's probably first. I guess they lost. Was it 2 years ago? They didn't have a winning season when they brought in Cam.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago before Mac Jones came into play because they were trying a whole bunch of different stuff. Cam Newton in the play, and that was just a disaster for them. Yeah, I mean, for Wednesday, I kind of have the similar rankings. I'm still going through some stuff and schedule because I'm really curious to see like certain strengths. But I feel like Josh Allen has grown so much in 3 years that he's becoming a legit threat to the whole NFL really. As Aaron Rodgers will drop off, Tom Brady sometime in the next 30 years will drop off.
We've been saying that about Rodgers and Brady though for 5 years. Like,
know what I mean? I see Aaron Rodgers retiring before Brady just because Aaron's like, maybe. Yep, okay, now I'll do it. So I see him out quicker than Brady. Still, I think Brady will still play a couple more years before he takes this 10-year media deal, which is just ridiculous. But I think Allen's a force to reckon with. I'm really curious to see exactly how the Zach Wilson thing goes in year 2. It sounds like he's more confident, more sure of what's going on, and luckily they kept everything the same for him. Like, that's the hardest thing for young quarterbacks. He
can be confident all he wants. He still ain't gonna be no damn good. I can be confident that I can ski or that I'm gonna golf really well today. But the fact is, I can't do either one worth a damn.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, that's like how we talked about Warren Thornhill for the Chiefs. He came out and said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna have my best year ever." I'm like, well, no doubt, because it's your freaking contract year for one. Two, you haven't played like anything since your rookie year because you've been hurt. So maybe something will happen. But yeah,
I worry about the Bills' defense, and I know their defense is so good, but so those guys have been around for a long time. I mean, Micah Hyde, I love Micah Hyde. It was a Iowa Hawkeye, was a Green Bay Packer, hated when the Packers let him go. But he's been around for a long time. They got Poirier in the back end. That secondary is really good, has been good. I mean, Tre'Davious White, he got hurt last year, so maybe if he can come back and still be that lockdown corner for them. They did add Von Miller, but I worry about the Bills' defense. But that offense, I mean, you have Diggs, you have they almost have like a three-headed running back now because they have Cook.
James Cook now.
Yeah, James Cook. They still have Singletary.
And Duke Johnson. Don't forget the Duke's there. So he can sneak into play.
I mean, Josh Allen as a running threat,
yeah.
And they added another receiver, did they not? I can't remember who it was.
Oh, yeah, hang on. I got it right here. As long as my computer doesn't shut off. They got Isaiah McKenzie from Denver. Jamison Crowder was the other guy you're thinking of. So,
I mean, they did lose. Gabe Davis is going to be huge. I think you saw his breakout game with what he cooked the Chiefs up on in that playoff game. I think
DeAndre Baker all day, baby.
Yeah, he's going to be a legit threat. They did lose Cole Beasley.
But I don't think Cole Beasley was that much. Like, he was a guy that knew the offense and had familiarity with Josh Allen, but I just didn't feel like he was effective for the Bills as much as he was with Dallas before he came to the Bills.
No, you're right. You're right. He was. I mean, he was what he was. Just a nice, decent slot receiver.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they have a team that's ready to go. I like their coach. They've been building. Like, that's a team that you just watch, and they're not coming out of nowhere. They've slowly built that. Up the last few years. Even before really Josh Allen, they had a playoff team with Tyrod Taylor, and they said, Tyrod, get the hell out of here. We believe in this guy, Josh Allen. And they brought in Josh, and people Josh's rookie year didn't think he was going to be all that. Then he just, went here and then went way up here last season and took that huge leap. You won't see as a big of a leap from Josh Allen this year, but he's still going to be better than what he was last year, which is still scary.
Oh, it is. It's by far. And, maybe one day we can get Mikey or Ryan on and talk a little fantasy and see exactly where maybe they would rank a guy like Josh Allen. I know he's talked about it a few times. I just can't remember exactly where he put his pinpoint. Ryan's also dropping his rankings, I think, here in the next week. He said he's just wrapping up the last few. So, but you got to remember too, Bills drafted Kaiir Elam for the defense part, and he's going to be starting the other side of White coming to play, I believe. And so that's going to be kind of interesting exactly how that goes. And they also added in the linebacker, Terrell Bernard, in the third round. So, these guys, it feels like they lost a lot of pieces, but at the same time, it's like they kind of reloaded. And, this might be another Bills defense where we're like, what the hell? Like, what would they allow less than 20 touchdowns last year or something? Mike told me, and it was ridiculous. I could not believe it.
Well, their division, they're going to benefit in playing in a bad division too. So, you look at other divisions, there's usually like a clear-cut number, there's not really even a clear-cut number one in a lot of divisions. Maybe that you can make a case for. I can't really even make a case for any other team other than the Bills to win that division. They're the clear-cut number one, and then it's a race for clear, number two between the Patriots to me
and the Dolphins.
And the Dolphins. And right now I give it the edge to the Dolphins. It'll be it's Tua time, and all the pressure will be on Tua. That's something that we had talked about on NFL Dated. I said that Jalen Hurts and Tua to me are going to have the most. If I had to give players who has the most pressure on them, it would be them two right now.
No, by far, and I agree with you on the NFL Dated. Like, you brought that up, like Jalen Hurts, man. like I was down on Tua last year, and then as the season went on, he got hurt, but he came out and played, and he played really well, I thought, for a majority of the end of the season. So it's kind of brought me back on the Tua ride, but Jalen Hurts, man, I chalked a lot of trash on him, and he was way better than I thought he was going to be. He really was. And like even Miles Sanders didn't have a rushing touchdown all last year. But that didn't matter to him because Jalen Hurts took that offense and he took it upon his shoulders. And look what it got him, snuck it into the playoffs for him. And it's just, I don't know, it just kind of blows my mind with those two guys because I don't feel like we're going in year 3, right, with them. You don't know exactly what you're getting between those two still. And that's the scary part.
And it's crazy to me, how fast we anoint people. Because remember when Tua came in on that championship game and won that for Jalen Hurts and won that game, and then Tua, won the championship game for Alabama, and then it was like Tua's the best quarterback we've ever seen. Tua's going to be the number 1 draft pick. Tua's going to be the guy that does this, this, and this. And now we're here year 3 and we're questioning, is Tua the guy? They're giving him all the weapons here. It's just, and that wasn't even but 4 years ago, I don't think, maybe 5, that people were anointing him as Tua the next big guy, and here we are.
But they do that after every NFL draft, except this year. I don't know who everybody's. I mean, I guess Pittsburgh guy would come into play. Malik Willis, Malik Willis was the biggest talk in the world, but the guy didn't go till 3rd or 4th round. So, they do that every year, and it's, I don't know. I'm just really concerned between those two teams, and it's, as I told Mike on one of our Buffoon shows, it's a make or break year for Tua essentially, and I think for Jalen as well. They gave you weapons. You got Tyreek Hill and Waddle now in the play. And then on the other side, you A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, second-year Smith, by the way. So they get those things going on. I think they still got Gettert for the Eagles.
They still got Dallas Goedert, yeah. And the Dolphins still have Gesicki, too. I mean, like we still got 2 quality tight ends. The Eagles have 2 good quality running backs. The Dolphins have, good running backs as well. Like it is on them. It solely rests on them. Yeah.
No change in coaching. Oh, I guess Tua did. So,
but
it's better coaching.
Yes, they got the offensive guy. Yeah,
because McDaniel, he's gonna. Oh man, that's gonna be some fun offense. I feel with him, with Tyreek, Waddle, Tua. Who was the other? Who's the running back?
They got Chase Edmonds.
Yeah, here I gotta pull them up. Hopefully this doesn't die on me. Not die, but just turn off. All my PCs are just acting up on me. Cedric Wilson, they got from Dallas, right? That's another. I mean, that's a 3-headed monster at freaking wide receiver just by that itself. Like, are you kidding me? Raheem Mostert coming to play. Sony Michel's there now. Those are all guys that were effective at some point last year or the year before with speed. This team is going to be fast. And I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think that team, like I said, I think they're the team that could be, we talked about this last night too, is like they're a team that I could think that missed the playoffs last year that could make it this year. I even though I don't have them winning their division, I think they could possibly make it be a wild card and take kind of advantage of their schedule.
And I forgot they had Teron Armstead into play for left tackle from New Orleans. Whew. This team is going to be fun to go. We should have John here any minute here. He should be hopping on. And then you talked about the Patriots a little bit too. And I don't know, man. Like, it's hard to discount Bill Belichick team any year with whoever it is. He only went with Cole Strange right off the bat, left guard, first round, which surprised, I think, everybody but Bill Belichick himself. So, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out next to Trent Brown, which I'm actually kind of excited for. I want to see exactly what he saw in this guy. But I think the guy that we may not be talking about very much is Tyquan Thornton, the Baylor guy, second round, wide receiver for him. Some speed right there. And a bigger body too.
They also added Devontae Parker, which Devontae is going to be a nice. He is. I think they said he has the smallest, like the largest, like smallest catch rate. Like when the ball is close to him, he can catch, or maybe like the largest catch rate. Like, when it's battling, he doesn't get great separation, but he's going to go and get the ball for your team. And so I like that move, but I just don't. Who's their coordinators? I think they said Bill Check's running it all over there in New England. I mean,
he's not going to announce anything until we find out in training camp. Like, as in, he's not going to announce in training camp. We're just going to figure it out ourselves during training camp while watching the highlights to see who's calling what.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
He's not going to come out there. Let's see here. What else do they add there? Malcolm Butler, Terrence Mitchell's still there. Jabril Peppers coming into play in safety as a backup to Kyle Duggar. That's from the Giants. I like that Peppers move. That's going to be really nice to see there. Oh yeah, 3rd and 4th cornerback Jack Jones, Marcus Jones, coming into play for some depth there. He might have snuck some stuff in here to make it somewhat interesting. I don't know.
But this is where the Patriots. This is where they do best, right? When everybody counts them out, and somehow we think they're done, and then somehow they'll win 10 games and make the playoffs.
And I want to say, Smoking Jeremy B, we were doing a mock draft with him and Jonathan. He said something that Bailey Zapp, the quarterback here, and that got drafted in the 4th round by them, Western Kentucky. I want to say, if I went back and looked, Jeremy B was talking about this guy, and he was something that he would be interested in the Lions to have, because he's just kind of like he was a sneaky good quarterback that would be there, great NFL kind of body for it too. And dang, man, I think he might have fooled everybody again. This might be possible. Bill Belichick's gonna.
So what I hear you saying is you're picking the Patriots to win the division.
Belichick's just gonna finish first, guys. 2022 champs, or 22-23 champs. Here you go, Patriots. I don't know what's happened, but I'm trying to find a Patriots guy for Wednesday too, because I really do want their thoughts in their draft and such. So, but hey, tune in Wednesday. We'll find out more. I got a Bills guy, got a Dolphins guy, and currently a Jets guy. Jude Jets come back on the show, so excited to him. He's a fun time. So, well, I think our guys on here. Jonathan has made it from his travel for home, so let's get into it. Welcome on in, guys. Jonathan Grishman, Alpha Performance. Welcome in, man.
I appreciate it, guys.
Hey, appreciate you hopping on, man.
Oh, absolutely. Wouldn't miss it with you guys. Been enjoying doing this for y'all. So anytime y'all ask, man, I'm always having fun doing this. I appreciate the opportunity.
Definitely. So today's big series, we're going to talk about a little different, not quite the AL East or anything. We're going to go and switch it to the other coast here. We got the Padres and the Giants. Kind of interesting matchup going into play. I mean, you get the Dodgers still in the same division too. It's another division that could have 3 potential playoff teams going into play. But I mean, what are your thoughts right now as we lead into the All-Star break with those guys?
It was a must-have series for the Giants, and they were able to take, I think, it was 2 of 3 from Padres over the weekend. They needed that. They absolutely needed to keep in the race, at least with the wild card behind the Padres, and with the NL East teams that are competing in the wild card as well. So this was a must-have series that they needed to get momentum going to at least keep track of the Padres, keep track of the Braves in the wild card, and how that series with the Mets going on right now is going to determine as far as wild card seeding. So the Giants had to make a statement to say that it's not going to be just Padres Dodgers in the West. They needed to do something to at least say, hey, we are a contender. Don't forget about us. And being able to do what they did and winning was a 12-0 ball game yesterday against the Padres. That was a big statement that they needed to do and show that it's not over. It's not over for them to be counted out for in the wild card race, at least for right now.
So, hey, that was the first time the Giants have won back-to-back games in about 2 weeks. I mean, the last time they won was like mid-June, 2 games back. What has been going on with them, like for these struggles?
Consistency. That's what the name of the game is. You got to be consistent in this aspect and what they've struggled at. And one thing I talked to on a previous show a few weeks ago was that their offense has not been consistent. Their pitching has been pretty well at times here and there, and they give themselves opportunities to win games, but they can't put the runs across the board. And that's something that when you're facing the Padres and you're facing the Dodgers in the NL West, you have to be able to score runs. I mean, those are two potent offenses not only in the division but in the National League altogether. And so that's what's been kind of hurting them is they're not putting the runs across the board. As much talent you have in that lineup, your expectations should be a lot higher with what you're trying to do. And that's been something that's just not been as the case. And a lot of times as well as where the offense does put runs across the board, the pitching hasn't done their job. So it's just a lack of consistency has been hurting them so far through the summer at least. And they were in a race beginning of the season. They were, again, nobody pays attention to the standings in April and May, but that you can't fall off a cliff in June and July. And that's kind of what's kind of happened to them where they've fallen off that pace. And now they're a few games behind the Padres and double digits behind the Dodgers in the West. So the consistency or lack thereof has been the Giants' Achilles heel this summer.
How about a guy that's showed up for the Padres this year that I felt really quiet the last couple since he's joined the team? Manny Machado, at third base right there. He's leading the team in batting average at 309, home runs 14, RBI is 50. On-base percentage, .385. Like, the guy seems to be doing it all, especially hits at 88, and he has 19 doubles. Like, this is a guy that is finally having a year since he left, was it Baltimore, right? Orioles. Mm-hmm. So, like, this guy is all of a sudden emergence in, year 3, 4, whatever we're in now for him. Is this something he can continue on? Are we seeing lots of positivity going into play to the All-Star break, or is there potential slump coming into play?
No, I think we're actually seeing the maturity of Manny Machado. Again, you went from Baltimore, where you're in the AL East, where you're the little brother of the division between the Yankees and Red Sox, and you're competing here and there, which they didn't compete, during Machado's time as much. Then you go to the Dodgers, and you went from small market Baltimore to the limelight of LA. And the spotlight was really on him when he was in LA. He was a big superstar. So that hurt. And again, we saw that with Francisco Lindor in New York last year, going from Cleveland to New York, and the spotlight got to him a little bit in that season. It hurt Machado. So now you put him in San Diego, where it's not as big of a market. The eyeballs are not really on you as much. You kind of fly under the radar. And he's putting together a resurgence type of season that he's almost looked like he's back in Baltimore a little bit. He's playing like he's been back in Baltimore in how he's been leading the Padres. And that's what they were expecting when they signed him to a $300 million contract. Go be the leader of the team. And he's finally embraced that with that club. And the pieces around him are helping and complimenting him. And that he needed, where he didn't necessarily have that in LA because everybody was a superstar in LA and everybody's eyes were on you and like, well, you're the big high-priced guy. Why are you not doing this? San Diego, he can fly under the radar and still be that $300 million guy without the pressure of being in the big name city and the big name market and go play ball like he is supposed to do.
Does it help that he is? I know Tatis has been hurt, but does it help that like Tatis is kind of like supposed to be their leader of that team? Kind of he's playing like the Robin role to Tatis.
You can say that, but again, he hadn't played. So there's a name I'll actually go through, and it's Eric Hosmer. Yes. Hosmer, who's been in the World Series, who won a World Series. He's been in the big games. So that's a guy who, when they brought in, I think there was a lot of talk as far as why they made the move to bring Hosmer in and just throw the money they did at him. But you see the reason why is the value of the clubhouse that he brings, that he can actually help Machado with the maturity side and say, hey, let's be co-leaders of this group. Let me help you do this. Let me help you lead, and you go play the game, and you go be the guy that you could be the superstar guy that you're built to be, but let me be the clubhouse guy. And that's where kind of you see the dual roles of that. So, I mean, Tatis Jr. is the future of the Padres. It's just unfortunate that we haven't seen him this season. But if you wanted to pinpoint a guy who probably you could say that was the big turning point for Machado as far as why we're seeing the resurgence, my bet would be Eric Hosmer as far as what he's provided.
And that's a guy that's been silent since he left the Royals. And all of a sudden, he's been in trade talks, I think, almost every year except for the first two. And now, all of a sudden, he's right there with pretty much Manny right there at .276 average right now. And he's having a hell of a year after a long talk. So I was going to ask you here on the pitching side of things for the Padres, Sean Manaea, he's 3-4 as a starter. He has 35 walks, which is the most out of all the starters right now by far. Like, what's going on there? Is it a struggle of control, or are we just looking at just a kind of a down year and maybe they got to look at making some moves?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that last week as far as A's pitchers and when they've been moved and everything. You see the same thing with Manaea right now. It's been I don't necessarily want to say just again we talk about the market here and again, but you went from the low market of Oakland. You're now in a contending type of playoff on a team that's expectations are higher. Oakland, you contended, but the expectation was never to contend. I mean, it's just how it is in Oakland. But San Diego, because the payroll has went up, the expectation is higher. And there's just sometimes where guys just struggle with the expectations. And that might be the case right now, where you're brought in to be a big piece in that rotation, and you're not able to do that. Be the complementary guy that Darvish and Musgrove and Snell need, and you're not able to be that guy where that last part of the rotation to kickstart the team. And he's been struggling, and that's just something that's just there. It could be just that this is that kind of season. He's just struggling right now, and then once he gets acclimated to the expectations, and guys do that. It just takes time for some guys. Some guys that jump in and they're like excelling immediately. And so that you can look at an aspect of, he's just not used to a playoff or bust. Where that's how this is. That's what the clubhouse is, the team is, and it's a little bit above you. And that's what it kind of feels like right now. He's just a little bit above the expectations, a little bit above him. He's just not quite there mentally to handle that at the moment, and it's a setback. It's a setback for some guys.
Is Blake Snell the answer for that compliment piece to Darvish and Musgrove? Because he knows only 9 games started, but he's at 11.8 Ks per 9. So, I mean, he might be right.
Yeah, that could be the guy. That's what that's the same thing. They brought him in to be able to be the number 1 or 2 guy. Darvish has had the resurgence. You're talking about resurgent career. Right. He's absolutely found the fountain of youth somewhere, and he's pitching like he's been in Texas again. So. Snell should be the 1 or 2 guy. That's what they brought him in for. They traded all their prospects to Tampa to be able to get him and be that number 1 or 2 guy. But when you have Darvish being what he's pitching, Musgrove is the homegrown San Diego product that's pitching really well there. I mean, that's not a bad 1, 2, 3 with Snell pitching like he's still an ace type pitcher. So. It's a dangerous rotation. You were just kind of hoping Manaea would be the number 4 guy, and you run with those 4 pitchers in 1, 2, 3, 4 days of the 5, and you're in ball games. But it hasn't happened on that 4th day for them. Again, when you have the Darvish and Musgrove and Snell, it's not a bad thing on those 3 days that you get those guys on the mound.
Yeah, the Manaea, like you would have said at the beginning of the year, they have those 4 guys. You would have took those 4 guys and maybe said that's the best top 4, 1 through 4, beginning of the year. I don't think, looking at the standings here, the Dodgers are 8 back and the Giants are 12.5 back of the Dodgers. I don't think either one of these 2 teams catch the Dodgers. But I'm looking at the wild card here. Are these 2 teams, are they pretenders or are they contenders here? Because looking at the wild card, the Dodgers the Padres are up 2.5, while the Giants are down, 2 back of that second wild card. So are we talking about 2 pretenders? Or are we talking about possibly 2 contenders here, second half of the season?
Giants right now are probably my most disappointing team. I was actually picking them to win the division. I thought they were going to take a step forward and really supplant the Dodgers, and the Dodgers take a step back. But it's been the opposite. So I'd actually put the Giants as a disappointment. And I don't see them being a contender unless they make some moves that really help the team out a little bit more and find the consistency they need. I don't see the Giants playing October baseball, especially with the teams that you have the Braves and Mets in the wild card. That one of those teams is going to be a wild card team, and they're going to get that run. So you're fighting for that one, those couple spots, those last 2, and as long as San Diego is playing good ball, the Phillies and Cardinals and Giants are going to be in that mix, all three teams. I just don't see the Giants playing consistent enough right now. This is the time to do it. We're past the halfway mark. We're a week away from the All-Star break. The second half is around the corner. And so you cannot lose ground right now if you're the Giants. And I just don't see them doing enough unless they make moves. I don't see them making the postseason. Padres, I think they will make the wild card. I think they'll be a wild card team. Do they have enough to make a run in the postseason? That's to be determined. I don't know how their offense is going to be in that shortened type of. You got to view the postseason as a shortened season. I just don't know how their season is going to be. If Tatis comes back, how is he going to be when he does? If he's coming back, there's a lot of question marks if you're San Diego, but you're still doing enough, and that's what matters. If you can get in the dance, you have an opportunity to do something. So I don't see the Giants. I think the Giants are pretenders, and the Padres are at least right now contenders for the wild card.
Yeah, and the Padres, so their schedule after September 20th, they got St. Louis for 3, and then later on they got LA for 3, and then they finish the season with San Francisco. This could be that could be a really key matchup at the end of the year for the series. Is there another NL team currently that could maybe knock both of these guys, another division within the team that can knock both of these guys out of playoff a wild card contention?
Cardinals. I think the Cardinals could do enough right now. Again,
say that name to me.
Believe me, I'm not. I have a strong hatred for what happened to my Braves in 2012. Chippers last year, the infield fly rule against the Cardinals. So believe me, I'm an anti-Cardinal guy as well. But you got to take into account that the way that team is, the veteran play of that group, and they still have some young guys that are contributing and playing really well. And Tommy Edman in center field, he's a baller out there. And, they're playing basically almost the last season of Pujols, Molina, and Wainwright potentially. They're playing for a lot more than just this season. They're trying to save legacies right now in St. Louis. So the Cardinals would be a team that I could circle and say be careful of. They could be a dangerous team towards the back end of the season and really challenge the Padres for a wild card spot. I think there's just a lot of veteran leadership. As long as they can stay healthy. Again, they're dealing with the injuries with Molina right now. If they can stay healthy, they can be a dangerous team. I'll give you another team actually right now as well. I don't know if they're too far back at the moment, but a team that I'm kind of keeping an eye on is the Marlins. The Marlins are a young team with good pitching. They can score runs at times. The consistency offensively is going to be the issue for them. But the way that the pitching is with Sandy Alcantara, who's probably one of the best pitchers that is not talked about in baseball, and the pieces they have, if they don't sell. Now, again, Marlins have the history of always being sellers at the deadline. If they don't sell, if they can think that they can make a move to at least help that roster, be careful for the Marlins being a team that can challenge the Giants and Padres, at least for that wild card spot. I think they can be a sneaky, dangerous team in the second half if they don't sell.
Yeah. Or you said the Mariners have been hot, right? I mean, they had won like 10 in a row or something like that.
Yeah, Mariners are AL though.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Okay, yeah, no, Marlins.
That's just what I mean. Yeah, the Cardinals. You're talking about the Cardinals as a Cub fan, though. I mean, geez, like that's prime. They're going to win the World Series just because, like, that's what they do, right? Like they just middle around the first half of the season. They get hot in the last 2 months, and they just carry it in and win the World Series. I've seen it. God, too many times that all my friends like to remind me. So,
I mean, that's the history, right? That's the recent history of the Cardinals, and they just do enough, and the veteran leadership that keeps that group around is just they do enough to get themselves in the dance. And like I said, the best team doesn't always win; it's the hottest team at the right time. The Braves did that last year. The Braves weren't the best team. I remember conversations from guys that I talked to. They were saying the Braves didn't belong in the postseason. They were one of the worst division winners in the postseason last year, but they were the hottest team, caught fire, and won. So, Cardinals can be that hot team that sneaky, do it enough. They have the veterans to do it. They have the young guys that keep things going. They can sneak themselves in and win a couple rounds and get themselves to the big dance in October, November.
I don't know why you hate me so much, John.
It's all right. I'm wearing the Brewers hat, so we'll be all right. Well, man, I got anything else? You got anything else, Nick?
No, Jonathan, we always appreciate you coming on,
Yeah.
man. I'm gonna try to actually, I'll probably actually send you an invite here to maybe talk Sunday night on the Bodkins show, and we'll preview all the second half. So I'll just go ahead and send that invite now live on TV, so you can't tell me no.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Man. I love doing this. I love doing the shows with you guys and the other shows that I do. So, hey, send me the invite. I'll be happy to get on there with you and talk baseball and talk the second half. Like I said, man, I appreciate y'all working on my schedule. I mean, getting off the ball field and coming straight here to get to talk to you guys. So, hey, y'all accommodated me on this. I appreciate you guys.
Well, always appreciate it, man. Always appreciate it. So, thanks, Jonathan. Have a good rest of the night, man.
Yeah, you guys too.
Thank you, Jonathan Grishman, everybody with Alpha Performance. So, we're gonna try to keep him on weekly. I love the conversations we have. Such great insight with it. So, I'm all for it. Nick, any final words?
No, we've been burning it for almost 2 hours. My wife's gonna divorce me one of these nights.
Yeah, me too. Sorry. We'll move in together.
Right. It'll be easy to do 2-hour shows then.
Right. There we go. So, all right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap this up here tonight. Wednesday night, Sports Buffoons, guys, 8 p.m. Central. We'll be going over the AFC East preview division, our divisions talks for the starts for the NFL this Wednesday. And then, of course, you can catch Nick and I both on Let's Talk Sports at 11 o'clock Saturday. And then always every Monday right here, Buffoon and Bodkins. What do you got?
I'll be doing the weekly wrap-up show Wednesday mornings, every Wednesday morning. Don't ask for a time, just when I get up and make my
Just
time.
when it's there.
Yeah, that's just click the like and subscribe or check it out later. It's just a weekly wrap-up show. Sunday nights we do go live. It sounds like we're going to get Jonathan talk a little baseball and preview the second half, some trade deadlines and things like that in the second half of baseball coming up. That'll go. Hopefully we'll get with Jonathan, but I like to shoot for 8 o'clock Central Time Zone. So we'll see if that fits his schedule. If not, I'll announce what time works best for him on Wednesday mornings, and that'll be it for Sunday. So, and then we'll be right back here on Monday night.
Sounds good, guys. Make sure you give it a like, subscribe, and follow here. Make sure you guys go like Nick's show, Nick's channel, Bodkins Show, and then go like and sub to Let's Talk Sports, guys. Doing great things, a lot of great things happening that we're going to be involved in. So, super excited for that. Anyways, guys. Everybody have a great Monday night and the rest of the week. We'll catch you next Monday. See you guys.
See ya.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Buffoons and Bodkins Show. Make sure you hit that bell, subscribe, and follow for more content. Swing over to the Bodkins Show, subscribe and follow for him. And then also swing over to Let's Talk Sports Network and go subscribe to him because it's phenomenal for what he does. And there's a lot more to come on that channel between us as well. So, make sure you guys do that. Thank you for watching.